better, you know, and then start really playing with that. So that really helped me to, well, let me try different things and see what I what I like better. So
Right. And so I always go back to this same analogy that I have with art is that we just don't, and I think this is just so true for life, and even like what we were just talking about with my son is like we're comparative. Like our brains, I think, are set up um, where we need to say better or worse, you know, empty or full. Like I don't know where this type of programming comes from, but it's definitely within our culture, and it's you know part of our sort of editing thought process. So um, comparatives. So again, like working with the same image more than one time, you know, you can make different choices based on your in the moment, you know, thought processes, and then you can go back to it
mm-hmm,
and compare later. Like,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes, I mean, even for me, like I'll get to a point with a piece, and I'll just be like, we're not going anywhere. This is not going anywhere good. And I'm really I feel like maybe I'm detaching a little bit earlier from pieces too, because you know um, I don't want to just keep investing time in something that's not going to
Right.
work out, right?
Right.
So
And you
again,
already
like
know, it's not, yeah. Like
yeah,
I've gotten to the point where if a
so
book
t-
doesn't grab me in 50 pages, not worth it. You know,
oh my god, we're so funny with television even at night. Like Duncan and I were like, okay, we'll try maybe even like 3 or 4 shows before we're like, oh my god, like yeah, we can stand, you know, we can stand this one. Like
right.
it's not even that we're that excited about it, but it's like way better than anything else. So
Hmm.
yeah, and if you think about that, it has to do with like the people you're watching, the subject matter. For us too, like we tried to watch one last night. It was so violent. I was like, I can't watch this.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
absolute chaos and violence. It's like doesn't even make any sense. It's dumb. Like it's just dumb. Like no, that's out.
Yeah.
So the reasons that like art, you know, it can be the composition's not working out, or um, you know, your layering is not working out. So there's a lot of reasons that things do or don't work out for us as artists. But the thing about the wax is that we do really have the ability to go pretty far back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and redo, right?
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So that's kind of nice. But it can also be sort of intimidating too, because you're like, oh, should I take it back? Like
Yeah.
how
Right.
far?
Again, it's a time investment to scrape back and
Well, right, but most of the time I say it's always in your best interest to scrape back because, and you have to remember too, like one of the things that um, you know, wax definitely does is it ages stuff and it gives it texture, right? So it's like you have to remember always like what what the wax does, like you know, sort of what its job is. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
look that it actually is good at, like what is that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, because maybe some of the photos, you know, you want to do a very thin coat, maybe you want to do thicker, you
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe you want more obscurity, maybe you want less, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to control, I think for you too, like really just learning what all those things are is a process right now, and then also when to use it on, you know, when to use it according to what you're doing, and then um, you know, when to, all those things, like when to
Right.
stop, when
Right.
to when
Yep.
to
Yep.
add more, when to take more away.
Well, and also what you said to me about take pictures of it and look at it through the picture and flip it.
Yeah.
That is helping. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So.
good. Yeah, because it is hard to be right up on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, like if you're doing work, you're investing your time, and then you're like, oh wait, you get attached. You know, so you're trying to not
Right.
get attached.
Right. Right. You get attached to one way of doing it. Yeah. No, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's it's really good.
So like this one, I'm assuming you're ready to wax it now, right? This one and this one. And of these two, so you did two different ones. Did you actually glue them or did you just lay them out?
I just laid it down, and the green one. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
Let's see if I can get it as a. I don't have it as a. Well, anyway, I know it. That green thing was I had I in a couple of years ago I was doing something where I was putting different colors of tissue paper, and then I'd soak them, so it just kind of made designs. So that I
Oh,
had
that's cool.
just that little scrap. So I threw that down there, and I love the design. I didn't cut it because I didn't want to commit yet. But I
Okay.
think the color is wrong for this picture. So I was thinking, maybe I should go back and do some more of those tissue things too. Like I just have them. But
for
so
me,
I don't want the green
for me,
one.
this green is too unnatural. Like it's
Yeah.
it's art. It's like it's tony. It's like teal,
Right.
magenta. I like, of all three of these, I'm the most attracted to this one because it looks most like what like flowers would look like in water. Okay, so what you can do too is if you're thinking about doing something, you can always look up pictures of things to get ideas if you're going to recreate something. So Sally Mann did these pictures of her compost pool.
Oh, right. Right.
And they're really beautiful. They're like, let's see if we can find them. We have to search for them specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, compost. That's not, doesn't say wait, compost. How do you spell compost? Is that how you spell compost?
COMPOST.
Yeah.
Okay.
Composite. I was like, composite? That's not the right word.
Well, so
so what's the, oh, wait, I don't know why they're not, Simon Compost Polaroid color fixed. Hold on. They're things floating in the water. What the hell? Let's say color pictures. Let's see. And I think even just like making some stuff, they're not, I don't know why they're not coming up. They're putting some things in water. Like, what does it actually look like to have flowers floating in water? Like, and what's that's like, okay, wait, hang on.
Birthday flowers. I could put them in a pan, take some pictures and see if they're.
So this is really popular. So this is these are flowers in milk bath. So this is a very this is a very popular thing right now. So but these look like this looks like they're in wax, right?
Yeah.
So technically this is what your flowers are going to look like. And if your figure in the water actually had these flowers in the water with her, like, this is what it would look like, right? So it's good to look at like reference pictures. Okay. So the water is going to move the flowers around and separate them so that they're not they're not linear. They're going to be very blurry and kind of wide, right? They're going to be they're going to be spread out like this. Right?
I don't need to try and make it that flowing bouquet.
No lines. No, they're going to be like, look and see how like they're going to be separate because the water is going to move them around, and they're not going to be stacked, and they're not going to be able to hold the form because the water is going to manipulate them, right?
Yeah. When I was making those little tissue paper things, it was so fiddly. I thought, I don't know. Is this what I really want to be doing? But
this is a perfect example too, Pam, where you're going to be able to control. Do you see how like she's forward because of where she's sitting on the water, But
Yeah.
when you're using wax, you're going to be able to basically cover her up and reveal her, right? So just think about like, you know, being able to like go over her figure and the flowers and then take a tool and bring back what you want sharp, right? I feel like
Yeah.
you need to
Mhm.
think more about this sort of like covering and carving kind of process.
I did a
Covering,
lot of that on the dress. I worked a lot, you know, because you said the dress was too bell shaped. So
yeah,
I
that here,
so
this picture
did
right
a
here.
lot of covering and then scraping back and covering and scraping back.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying even on the total figure, do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this is a perfect example though. Like her face is sharp,
Yeah.
right? Her hands are, you can see her hands. I think that you uncovered her feet too much. I think that if
Okay.
you're thinking about, so you're thinking about the things that are uncovered are high and the
Yeah.
things that are covered are low. So if you uncover her feet and uncover her face, that
Oh,
suggests
right.
that her feet are as high
Okay.
as her face, which is just not true.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
I
for
got it.
me, like this one, so what I would do is I would just take, you know, wax, you know, I would just take wax and like a brush, you know, and just go over her feet, and that'll be like putting water over them, right?
Yeah. I actually did some of that because the other thing I was doing before I got to the flowers, you said, you know, try and get the water and the dress right. Um, remember those? Okay. Remember when I mixed the 50% beeswax, 50% wax and caustic medium?
Yeah.
And I sent you some details of that, and I wanted, to me that looks very watery if you look at that. So I
Sure.
was kind of holding
Where is it? Are you
that.
sending it to me on your
It
where are
was
you
the
sending?
cup. It was the I sent it to you as the last two colored pictures in the email
Okay.
because there was
Oh,
somehow,
the pink ones?
yeah, somehow that's why I put those in. Somehow that worked to have that composite medium, and then I had pan pastels, and then I did the heat gun, and it just moved the wax around. So to me, it looked very watery.
This
You see,
pink, this one? Yeah. Right. So it's very watery, but
that was the effect I was trying to get. So I was doing kind of broad things with regular wax, and then I tried to do that technique again over areas like up at the top where I wanted to you know, show more water. And I did some over her dress and the feet, but it didn't work out, that it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I don't know to get that watery effect. And I don't know whether it was the wax was too cold, even though I preheat the board, if it was, if it just went on too fast, so it couldn't do the watery thing, even when I had the heat gun. Or with the pink flowers, I had pan pastels, and I don't know if somehow the pastel facilitated that watery thing with the with the wax combo.
well, yeah, because what happens is when you have the pan pastel in there, you're fusing it and it's kind of creating a texture.
That's so I that's the
Fusing.
look
Like this looks more like this to me looks more like you did this with fusing a heat gun than you did with brushing.
with which one?
This
The
the purple, the lavender one I have up on the screen right now.
I can't see it, but
Wait, is it not on? It's on
yeah, I don't
screen
see it.
share. Can you? You can't. Can you see it? It's the.
No, I mean
Wait,
I know it, but I wait.
wait.
I
What are
can
you
go.
seeing on your screen? Just us?
I see you talking. Yeah.
Uh, it says I'm screen sharing, so you should be able to see. Wait, hold on. You're not. Are you seeing this now?
Oh, now I see it. I got it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, so this looks like all of this texture that you're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is within caustic and fused, right?
It's really no, that whole thing was only pan pastel. I was
Oh.
experimenting with pan pastels,
Uh huh.
which it was just, it's a practice piece. But what I really like is that the waviness of it.
Yeah, me too. So that's pan pastel on the wax medium, and then you use the heat gun.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it was the combo, the 50-50 combo that I liked, especially like in that lower right hand corner.
uh-huh.
Look at that wave look.
It's beautiful. I think you should
Yeah.
practice this. I mean, I think it's a technique that you really like. I think you should write it down in the journal. I think you should practice it. I think it's a great.
Practice it before I try, because I tried to do it on this, but without pan pastel. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I should just put a little bit of color, like very mild color on the pan pastel. Maybe was that the deciding factor, or was warmer? The wax was warm. I don't know.
I think that it's hard to control. I think that's like the alchemy of like
Okay.
the melting.
Okay.
I just think that everyone is going to be slightly different depending on how you like the timing of how you hold the heat gun. I mean, I
So
think you
I
could
should.
practice these techniques. I think this is a technique that you like, and it's a
Yeah.
texture that's really pretty. And then the nice thing about this too is that you can go into this and you could tone it. I mean, to me, I really like it, but again, it's like these color values are sort of all similar. I think the flower is really pretty. It looks like definitely looks like water.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
you like successfully made a watery texture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll try it as different experiments. Just try, I'll try X, write it down. Oh, this worked or it doesn't, until I get this texture, and then I could put it into the figure piece in
Yeah,
the
I
water.
think because yeah, I think for me, still with the figure like this figurative piece, it's a lot better than it was, and this is getting so much closer. Well, you have to work on her feet because they're too
Well,
sharp.
look at the second one, because that was one day, and then the next day I did the next one. That's this one, yeah. So that's closer. That's what my base is now. And I stopped. I thought, well, I want to talk to you about it. So I changed the upper right.
So
Um,
I think for me, I think you put a little bit of wax over her feet.
I did, yeah,
I think that looks good. I still think that
more.
um, I honestly now I think that the shape is better on the dress, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think this color. I think this is too
Mm.
this triangular extension of the dress is too bright.
So still tone it down. Okay.
I think just with did you end up buying the graphite gray pigment stick?
I have it. Yeah.
Or you could use a graphite gray, dark gray color pan
Okay.
pastel and just you have a lot of texture there. So if
Yeah.
you
Hit the
just hit
top.
the top, yeah,
Okay.
and
Good.
don't try to mush it in, just
Mm-hmm.
hit the top because what that'll do is it'll just soften. Also, you're gonna need to, I would tone into the wrinkles of her dress too. So that
Darker.
you're not just doing over here, but the shadow goes along her side here, under here, right over here. A
So
little,
it's like burning those areas.
it's just literally like shadowing. Yeah,
Okay.
like
Okay.
shadowing.
Okay.
Like creating. Um, you want to create the sense that the dress is going like up and down like this in
Yeah.
the water.
Right.
So if it's
Right.
going up and down like this in the water, it's going to be brighter. Also, like her hands to me
Yeah.
and her shoulder are too sharp,
Yeah.
especially
I
the
agree.
arm looks
Yeah.
awkward. So I would just put a little bit of wax medium, like the water's like there's a little bit of water like over her arm.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably, they're probably going to be flowers covering your hands at this. But yeah, I'll do that too. I'll put
You're
some
gonna add
more.
flowers in her hands.
Well, that's where I'll put the flowers, and then
Did you
the
think about just painting the flowers and not actually physically adding them? Like
I have. Last time you had suggested the tissue paper. It's too late for me to do a collage on there because I've got the wax on. So, and painting, I'm really reluctant because my painting is not it's just not very good.
So I think that you're overthinking the idea of painting.
Okay.
And to me, like, actually, I was just working on this thing the other day. So this this is just floral. Wait, hang on, I'm gonna stop the screen. This is just um, this is like paper with little flowers in it, right? So when you look, you can tell that this is floral, but when
Oh
you
yeah.
actually look at the form of what the
Yeah.
flower is, it's so
Oh, it's
simple.
lovely.
It's like
Yeah.
literally like a ball. It's like literally like a circle and a stick. So I think you're overthinking what a flower looks like. You know, like you need to decompose the flower to um, basically a dot and like a couple dots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
So,
does.
because if you can do that, you're not literally, you got, I think sometimes it's still hard for you to like step away from like literal description
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just be like, just like kind of letting go and just adding. I mean, you could add just white flowers to start out, just something really simple. Um,
Well,
and
this is why I mean, when I've seen you paint flowers, you make it look so easy. You know, like oh, just
it's
put
so,
dot dot dot.
yeah, it's so bizarre, but it's just come from practice.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
again, like not trying, that's the thing is like all of a sudden, like I was just able to kind of like do this thing. And I did start, in the early days, really putting a lot of flowers into the photo shoots. And that's definitely like kind of like how I taught myself. But over time, it's almost like I just like know how to do it without, I don't need them
Hmm.
having to even be there anymore.
Right. I that's why I'm doing some of these collages, and I'll show you. You know, I worked some more of this the collage that I did last time, because I thought, well, that way I will learn the shape, I will learn the shading, and then it'll be feel more natural. You know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I really, and you have to sort of believe in, that the idea of repetition and practice is working,
Hmm. Hmm.
and becoming familiar. You might like do it a couple times and really overpaint them, and be like, oh, I don't like them, but then you can always reduce them if you overpaint them. Then you can just take a paper towel or a palette knife and kind of break them up.
Okay.
Right? So it's
Okay.
sort of that idea of sort of again like focusing on addition and subtraction,
Okay.
adding and taking away, right?
Okay. So let me show you this thing that I've
And if
worked
you go too
on.
far, you just take it back, right?
Yeah. Okay. Here's this one that I worked on from last week.
Uh-huh. All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me pin you.
Oh, and before I forget, I want to see the last week you showed me the picture that you said on the plane. You said, "Oh, well, there's no foreground background." You said you're going to show it to me with the background. So I want to see that too.
I decided I didn't like that piece. I mean, I'll show it to you, but I basically took off the whole. I tried to use the pan pastels to mask it out.
Yeah.
But really, what I decided was that the whole composition was too small, like that there was too much going on.
Oh. Oh, well,
So
yeah.
that
Yeah.
so there's is this sort of thing with me now where I need I feel like I need a. It's funny. I feel like this way. I'm like this in life too. I need a certain amount of alone time or space, like empty space, to
Absolutely.
be able to pull off, the artwork or to pull off what I want. So,
Absolutely.
all right, hang
Yeah.
on. I'm gonna pin you. Let me. I'll show you the piece, but hold on. I'm gonna pin you first. Go ahead. You can hold it.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. Those are the flowers we were working
I
on.
like it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really
So,
like it. Hold it back.
so what I did is when I was working outside, again, it was cold, but I just would put the heat gun on an area and then use the pottery tool to scrape back,
Uh-huh.
the
I think
lighter
it's
areas.
really nice. Yeah. So are you gonna start hand coloring it?
I will. So, but I stopped because I haven't decided if I should be doing pan pastels in the lighter area. And I kind of like that. They're not totally smooth yet, but
I would take the background dark gray. I would take the background dark.
Yeah, and gray, more gray in the, but I also like that there are spaces where there's nothing, like
Yeah.
there, and just like what you're talking about, just that.
Well, you could make it half and half. I mean, if you want it to be light, I mean, you can decide. The whole thing doesn't have to be, and this is the thing too, like
That's
the
true.
background doesn't have to be one solid color. Like you could split it. You can decide where the horizon line is. I mean, you have to think about flowers though. Like look at a ton of pictures of gardens. Like you're basically created like this, you created a space of flowers, but in real life, what would that, like, what is that associating to? Is it like when you're looking at a garden and the flowers are hanging down off a trellis? Are you looking into a flower? Are you like, you need some, I think, realistic connection to start to think about where the light is. So when I see that, like what you just hold up, and I think about a trellis. I think about that being like a front picture of a trellis with the flowers coming down. And if that was the case, then there would be light, coming through. Right. There would be a darker, like towards the ground might be darker, and at the top might be lighter, depending on the time of day. Right?
Okay, so go also be thinking about the light source. Same thing. Yeah.
Well, the light source can be a very easy way for you to tell the story, right? And based on like you're still learning and you're still gathering all your sort of techniques and ideas. So to have a story, right? To have a story of where the light is coming from.
Okay.
Who's the main part, right? So when I was teaching in Texas, I used this technique called circle the sweet spot, right? So the sweet spot, here, we can do it. I think I can do it. Hold on. I'm going to screen share. Can you didn't send me that picture, but.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So,
no.
Okay. So what I basically called the sweet spot was sort of where the photo was going to be the most representational, right? So let's say your sweet
face. Absolutely.
Your sweet spot is here. So that's perfect. Like the way that is right now is perfect, right? So this is a little, I would say, bumpy. So you have to remember that encaustic is not only about layering and layers of translucency color, but it's also about texture. So like super busy texture up here, right? Busy texture here. This is pretty medium texture, very busy here. Okay. Right? So maybe another way to kind of tone this down would be to like, why is this so bumpy, right? Like maybe this should be a little bit more smooth like this. Right? So you have to think about like, how did I do that? So to me, smooth is just longer strokes. Right? Or scraping, right?
I'm gonna have to scrape on that.
Yeah. This too, I don't love whatever that is.
Okay.
So yeah.
As soon as you did that, I thought, oh, all of a sudden it's like, what is that? Well,
okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay. And also too, like, I don't know why there's like a line here. I don't know why that looks like a line. Like that should be softer. Okay. Right? Because it should be just be like she's submerged in the water. Right? So overall for me, the texture of this is like raging ocean surf with tons of foamy white water. But I'm not sure that's really what you intended. I mean, maybe a little bit of the white water if it's like moving over the rocks, but I prefer this area.
Okay.
In terms of texture, and I like this area.
Okay.
So also this is too much white up here.
Tone it down. All right.
Well, it's all water, right? It's not like this is the sky. It's not like this is the sky. So do you see like these light grays? Like this should be equal to, this should not be that much whiter.
Okay. So to have those Yeah, part of it was I was trying to hide the line, of the actual
And
photo.
and Pam, if she's your sweet spot, she's
Yeah.
the center of attention. Why is this whiter than her face?
Okay. Okay.
So
Got
whites
it.
dominate, right? So even if I wanted to stay here, I can't because the
That's
white is
fine.
pulling
Yeah.
my eye away.
Okay. So
Right?
that has to get toned down, and the texture has to be less busy. All right. That's good. Those are good things to work on. And then separately, I'll work on the different
Now,
flower
there's a
possibilities.
tool that you probably haven't used yet that you might like.
Yeah.
It's called an iron.
Huh.
So this is the iron. And then basically what you can do with the iron, you might really like this. So basically what the iron does is this is a heated surface.
Yeah.
So if you have it too textured, rather than using a heat gun or a razor blade, you can take the iron and
And just
basically
flatten it. Yeah.
flatten it.
Mhm. Okay.
And you can buy them on Amazon. They're probably like $20.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So and you can get them in different sizes. So
Cool. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
this is
Yeah.
kind of a big one. I have another one too. This is one. So because I personally, I like it to look textured, but I want it to be pretty smooth, like flat.
Right. And I
This,
know we've talked about that because I had so much trouble trying to have the texture, but then smooth it out. I can't do it. And
especially because A, you're working in a cold studio or outside, and B, you're attracted to water images. So this is much more watery than
oh,
all
okay.
that. And if you're not getting the water effect that you like with the brush, just
Yeah.
use the brush, get the wax on there, and then use the iron
Okay.
to create the
Great. I think that'll
water.
help. Right.
So you can
And
get
I will keep experimenting with that, like the pink flower technique. However, I got that. See if I can get back to that. And
yeah,
incorporate it,
yeah.
but separately, not on this. Yeah.
Well, right, but you have a couple of these pieces happening of Amelia, right?
Yeah. The other one, I feel, well, I don't think I've shared. I did put that down because I thought, oh my gosh, this is so overworked and it's got so much layers of texture. And I just thought, stop. And I didn't like the
Right,
flowers. That's why I came over to this one. I thought, well, let me focus more on the water on this one.
right.
And then I do have a third one of rice paper. And to me, that will be, once I've experimented with these two, that's the
Uh-huh.
one where I really want to, choose what I want to do with it. So yeah, yeah.
Right. Um, I when I'm brushing, I think my strokes tend to be fairly broad with the hake brush, right? So I'm curious what strokes gave you
Okay.
all that texture.
Um, well, I was actually deliberately trying to texture it. So I think I didn't use a hockey brush on this part where you say
Right.
it's too much texture. I'm pretty sure I was using the bristle brush.
I'm gonna see
And
these.
the other thing I'm finding, and this is because of the cold, like if I have too much wax on the brush, it gloms right away.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
That,
and then
you
if
don't
I'm
want that.
trying to do a stroke, all of a sudden it just stops. It just
Right.
stops. So it's really hard to do those long, broad, flowing strokes with the temperature. So no, but the up at the top, I was deliberately going for texture to hide that photo line, the
Uh-huh.
print line. And then with the dress, I just kept trying. I was trying to do layers of over, scrape back, under, and so there's a
I
lot of
think that
texture.
I think that the iron is really going to help
Okay,
you.
all right. Well, the other
I think
thing,
that, but based on the what you showed me today that
yeah,
you like, I think the iron is like perfect.
okay. Now
To
the other thing in terms of brush strokes, if you look at the print again,
But I don't think you should don't put the pan pastels on first.
No, no, and
Iron
I'll
and then pan pastel. Does that make sense?
absolutely. No,
Because
I'm going to experiment with that pan pastel combination thing on just some study pieces. But if you look at the print again,
the
if you
print,
look at the gray area where
like
the
this one or something else.
yeah, this one's fine. Yeah, underneath where you have the big circle where it's too busy up at the right hand corner. If you go down, there's that gray area, the different grays, and you said are much those are better.
Yeah.
But in terms of brush strokes, you can see that those are with a hockey brush, and I was trying to make, like wavy
I
kind of
love
thing.
that's my favorite. I love the lower right corner and the upper left corner
Okay.
are my favorite. I don't mind the one I don't the one at the top is just top right is just too.
No, I get that. But what I'm talking about now is the rocks and under the water. But
Yeah, I
you can
love
see
that.
the brush strokes. And should I just gently heat them and scrape the brush strokes back? Because I find them very distracting.
In the middle, you're talking above her shoulder. I wouldn't do anything.
Above, it's where the rocks are. Yeah, above her shoulder, below, where the the texture's too busy and it's too white on
No,
the upper right hand.
I think that middle area is really nice, and it actually I don't see it doesn't speak to me of rocks. It speaks to me of a reflective nature, like clouds are reflective.
Oh, oh,
It's like the water's capturing the
oh,
cloud,
okay.
like that sort of reflection idea.
And the brush stroke doesn't bother you? The Even though it was a hockey brush,
No,
to me it looks like a bristle brush, even though it was a hockey brush.
no, I think that whole area is super good.
That part's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
that's good.
All right. So that's a lot to work on. I'll have a lot to work on.
Don't overwork it though, right? It's like a little. Remember the 1 second rule, right?
Well, but what I mean is I have a lot of study pieces that I want to be playing with
Yeah.
in preparation for
But
this.
remember the 1 second rule, right? So like one little adjustment makes a big difference. So
Okay.
don't overwork it. Like
Okay.
if you just look at the circles that I drew here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Look on those. Okay.
if you just lightly, very gently and subtly work on those six little areas just a little bit, I think that's plenty. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Okay. All
don't
right.
don't overwork them because I'm not asking you to like get rid of what you have. I'm not asking, you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
asking you just to sort of soften a little bit and um, like tone,
Right. Right. Okay.
right? So the top two, do you remember what they are? The top two are
Too busy and too white.
just, I would shade them a little bit.
Right. The face is the sweet spot.
Yep. Her
Shape,
hand. Oh, I didn't circle her hands, but I would add for the hands. I would add. Um,
just clear wax to soften it.
I would add a little, yeah, like a little bit of wax in a brush,
Uh-huh.
like a gesture.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you see
And,
how? Do you see how here? So I'm going to use the mouse. Do you see how here this is like kind of curved that way? I feel like
yes.
so I would curve the other way here
Oh, I see what you're
with a skinny hake brush or something.
saying. Okay. And then I've got the hair going this way also. Okay.
Yeah, I like to sometimes think of things as like arching, right? It's kind of nice to
Yeah.
think about things arching around.
And then I need to do the shading, the burning on the shading shadow areas on the dress, and tone down the texture on the lower left, and soften and darken the, cover up her feet a bit more. And there's that stupid white thing, whatever it is, tone that
Well,
down.
right, but I think what the reason that I emphasize the outside line is that you want these lines here
Mm-hmm.
kind of separate her from this atmosphere you made. So you
Mm-hmm.
want her to feel like she's included in the atmosphere.
So soften that. Okay. All right, yeah, that's going to be a lot. And then with the flowers, I ordered some floral napkins so I can play with that.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Now, like, let's look at this one for a second. How did you do this of these? This was my favorite for sure. So are
So
those
yeah, that's just little bits of tissue paper, and I tore some to be kind of the green, the green stuff, and then I just crumpled up the tissue paper, and it was really hard to get them in there because there's so much static electricity.
oh
I just
underneath the wax paper?
yeah.
Right. Okay, but so do you see okay, so hold on, I'm gonna show you something. I'll show you this piece. So this is the piece that we were talking about. But what happened
Right.
for me, this is the piece we we're talking. So I messed up her face. Well, I scratched her back too much. So, but what I did was I opened up this side. There's a
Yeah.
photo back here.
Uh-huh.
And right now, like when I'm looking at it on your screen, I see butterflies, right? So there's a
Oh
butterfly
yeah, I
here.
do.
So
Yeah.
now
I
I
like how I do see how you define the dress more
I
and
did
the
a little
background's
bit.
going back. Yeah,
I did
yeah.
a little bit, but
I
I mean
like it.
technically like yeah. So this is something you could use too. I don't know if you bought these woody crayons, but
No, I haven't used them yet. Yeah.
right. But you can always go in and kind of establish lines. Like here's, I'm just using this. I'm not going to use this, but so here's really like her dress, right?
Right. Right.
Right. And then here, like here are the butterflies I'm seeing, right? So there's
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
now I could go with this idea. I mean, I'm probably not. I don't know. But sometimes, and then I could like paint over it. I mean, I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Here are like here. My idea was really to open this side up
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and then to tone it down. So I could actually, now that I did that drawing, like I could put just like a semi-translucent, encaustic here, but I need
Uh-huh.
to shift the color. It's like all too much of these same warm colors,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to really think about how to what color, or clear. I guess I could use clear, but it just got, for me, it's too, like if this was a bigger piece and I had more space
It's
over here,
spread out.
I
Yeah.
feel I could spread it out and make it work.
And
I feel
have more of those still areas of calm. Yeah, I see. Okay.
I just feel like because of the size,
Hmm.
it's like too small for me or something. I don't know. I haven't. I just, you made me pull it out of the trash pile, so I'm gonna think about it now. But
Oh, so I wanted going back to the tissue paper, the little tissue paper flowers.
oh yeah, yeah.
Last time, and there probably isn't time now. Last time you said that you could show me how I could use wax to adhere tissue paper. Is there anything I should know about that?
I that you're working with such tiny little areas.
Yeah.
Technically, like if you were just gonna, what I would suggest, I have.
Would you like take a brush and just drip the wax down on it, or?
Say like, well, this isn't tissue paper, but if these were your flowers, I mean,
Yeah.
you could tear them, and again, like they don't have to be, like perfect. Like say that I wanted those
Yeah.
to be my flowers, I would just go over them. I would just dab them in there.
Okay, because these actually have dimension to them, so I
Right, but
just
I would
grab it and
flatten them.
push
You
it
have
down.
to flatten them. You can't use their dimension. I would flatten
Okay,
them. I would work only on flat. I would flatten them. So like
okay,
if these were going to be my flowers,
yeah,
right? They're on there.
okay.
Then I would either take my finger, right, and you make like petals for them, or a little,
Oh,
right,
oh, lovely.
right.
Okay,
So now they're underneath, and you could use a little brush. Basically, flowers are 4 or 5. So they have a center. You can do the outside
yeah,
petals. Sometimes they have 3 petals. Sometimes they have 5.
yeah,
So you can go, and then there's some flowers, and then with a tiny little paintbrush. Sometimes I give my, here's, you can put this,
yeah.
right? And then once
Right,
you
right,
kind
right.
of get it in there, then you can give it like the sort of what I call 1-2-1-2, right? Where you,
Soften it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
right? And then
So if I was doing the flowers, would I use colored tissue paper or
you don't have
just
to. I always use neutrals. I don't like to commit
neutral,
like that.
not the strong colors? Okay.
No, I would never use strong colors. I would always use neutral colors, either light brown or beige or white.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and then you can just start,
I would have a lot more confidence doing like this rather than painting in flowers from scratch. I don't,
just build them up, and then
yeah, yeah.
you
Cool.
keep
All
adding
right.
and subtracting until they look right with
Uh-huh.
little brushes and pigment sticks.
Okay. Yeah, great. That's great. That'll be good to work with. Yes. All
Okay.
right. I got it.
And then
Thank you.
little lines for stems. All right, I gotta run, but I
Yeah.
will. Hey, I guess I won't see you next week because it's Christmas. But
Is it? Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
do
here on Wednesday if you want to meet. I'm fine. I'm here.
I'm just not sure what's going to happen after I had this MRI on Friday.
Well, will you?
But so maybe we should plan to do, like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah,
It'd be
for sure,
probably safer.
for sure, for sure. Let's plan.
So you just send me you can just email me the date because I'm here. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
Me either. I'll be here, and yeah. So for the week after, will you let me know how everything goes?
I will, and also then I should have an idea pretty soon about scheduling if I have to schedule something. So
Okay.
good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was a great session.
it was. Yeah, I have a lot to work with. Okay.
Good, good, good. Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
In the video. All right. Peace. Bye.
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 Bye. Oops, I did that.